Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be getting started in a few minutes, but if you don't mind, when you take your seats, if you can fill up all the seats in the front. Do not leave any empty seats. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance to seat. We will have a packed house here. So if you don't mind, take the seats as close as possible. Get a better seat now before it fills up later. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to get started with our last panel in just a couple of minutes here. So if you would all like to settle into your seats, we're going to be starting in just a minute. Please go ahead and take your seats. Thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be anticipating a packed house. So if you could please fill up the seats up in front first so that latecomers can fill up in the back. So any empty seats up front, please fill them up first. Thank you.
Just go ahead and take your seats. Hey, good evening, everybody. Really excited to be with you for our last panel here at Japan House for the 20th anniversary Holly Shorts. This will be our last panel of the festival. But we've got a great lineup. They're coming off of their screening just a few minutes ago. We're going to be talking about tales of survival and strength, and I'll turn it over to April. April, let's give them a big welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is April Shi. I'm excited to introduce the filmmakers and the subject of this beautiful film, Anais. We have the director, Alain Hajiani, and our producer, Shanice Mendy, and the subject, Anais Kimene. I try to practice, but I'm sure I'm butchering your names. But I had an opportunity to watch this film, and it was incredibly moving, and I related to it as well on a small level because I ran cross country in high school. So not as strong of a runner as you, but I related to it. I'm just curious, just to start off, how did the project come together? How did you discover Anais and her story?
So first of all, thank you for being here. Yeah, so the project started with a conversation with a nice sponsor, which is Salomon. And we had a talk about Anaïs, the woman she is. I didn't know her at the time. And the more I learned, the more I thought we have to do something. We have to tell her story. Um, and at the time, my friend and producer Shanice, she was working in New York, and she was about to come back in Paris. And I started to talk to her about Anaïs, about an idea of directing a movie, a short documentary about her. And she was so happy. And she said, "You know what? I'm coming back to Paris. Let's do it." And that's how it started. And then we just met with Anais in January 2023. And yeah, and we did it.
Amazing. And Shanice, as a producer, and it's like a nebulous title. Everyone can call themselves a producer. We're not really sure what they do. On this film, how did you bring the team together, and how did you put the film together?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you for being here. So yeah, this amazing project started, as Ellen said, when I was in New York and I came back. And obviously we had to find a team, and we talked about everything with Ellen, actually, because at first it was only the two of us. Then we met Anaïs, and then we had to bring up yeah a peaceful team. And it was not easy at first because we had a very, very small budget. And but I took it really seriously. As a producer, I always say that my job is to serve the director's DNA, especially Ellen's ones. It's I think I've been working quite a lot with Nike, for example. So I've been working with other directors as well, and it's really truly the first time I felt in love with a DNA, a vision, and a way of working. And so it was with her. It was quite easy to bring a team which was sharing the same love for Anais, for the project. And so yeah, this is even if the budget was very small, it was quite easy.
Uh, and just to continue on that road of the creative process, how did you know that Anais would be a good subject, and how did you kind of narrow down what the story would be in a short form documentary?
I think on top of knowing everything she went through, I think also what a lot of people say when they discover who Anna is her smile. And I think I'd say this is also the first thing that I fell in love with. It was, of course, understanding everything she went through and how strong of a woman she is, but also how joyful she is all the time and how she is able to spread joy no matter what, if it is challenges or very like simple things of the everyday life. And so I thought that for this reason, we, regarding sports, regarding documentary, we not often see athletes who are not professional athletes. And Anais is not only that; she's also a nurse. She's running. She's helping others, and she went through a very strong disease. And so for all of that, I thought she deserved to be seen. I think.
Yeah, one of the things I love so much. Oh, sorry, were you?
No, no, no. I was just thinking that on top of everything you said, it was also how her body was also extremely organic, and that she's from l'île de la Réunion, which is also extremely like visually strong. And I think this is that was the goal also of the documentary, to try to connect nature and organicity as a whole as well in the creative process.
I was just going to say a part of what I love so much about the film was how you decided to structure basically the revelation of Anais's disease in the back half of the film once you've already kind of learned about all her, daily challenges. How did you come to that structure, and what was the process of discovering?
I think it's something that came quite naturally because when we first had a discussion with Anais, at first, of course, we asked her, "Are you okay with speaking about the disease, with showing your body also, because it's your profound intimacy?" And after that, it was also about understanding how she felt when she was healed, how the disease took a place in her life. And very quickly, she said, I don't want to be only about breast cancer. My life is not only about that. I went through it. It was intense and I embrace it, let's say. But now I'm also over it and I overcome what happened and now I'm in movement. And so I thought it could be a way of being truthful to the woman she is in the form of the movie, and to respect that, and to bring it almost like a surprise for the person watching the short documentary, because it's not only about that.
This is a question for Anise, so if you could translate, you are so strong, and just to even be willing to be a subject of a documentary requires immense courage because it's so exposing. And not to mention what you were just saying about showing of the skin and your body. What drew you to this project, and what kind of gave you the courage to be the subject of this film?
So she said, I wanted to show that everything is possible. You can be a woman working at the hospital. You can be an athlete. You can be someone running, and you can be someone going through a illness, and you can be all of that. And I thought it was important to maybe have a window of allowing people to have a window of someone who went through all of this.
Thank you. And it was so great to see the scenes in your family's kitchen and with your grandfather and your father. Uh, why was it important to feature that story? I mean, it felt obviously so organic, but how did you include all of them in the film?
So Marcel, the grandfather, and Geoffrey, the grandmother, and Anaïs roots in Réunion Island was also something we really wanted to develop and at the beginning of the movie, because I think to understand anybody, I think it's also important to go back to the roots. And I think this is something Anaïs comes from. We also wanted to we wanted to talk about women, but we also wanted to celebrate diversity, where we come from, and we are built also thanks to who we come from, and so her grandfather specifically is someone who he's really connected to that. On top of running, he's really connected to nature, and yeah, we wanted to spend a few minutes with him in the kitchen.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful and funny scene to see him in there. Um, this is a question for each of you. How do you define what it means to be strong as a woman?
Ils veulent entendre le français.
She's shy because she speaks French, but you want to listen, right?
Je vais dire en français dans le micro et on fera tout.
And I'll translate.
1, 2, oui.
Ok, je pense que la définition d'être une femme forte, pour moi, c'est la définition d'une femme qui s'assume et qui va au bout de ses envies et qui essaie de dépasser ses limites.
So she said, being a strong woman is someone who goes who does the maximum, who surpass herself, and who do everything she can to achieve what she has in her heart.
I think to me, strong woman is just woman. Like being a woman is strong.
I agree. Yeah, I'd say let's not, like let's just be and celebrate ourselves and just feeling free to be and to embrace who we are, and not asking ourselves too much question, or not being always here excusing ourselves to be who we are or how we look. Or that's also what we wanted to highlight with Anaïs, because this is deeply who she is. Like, we also wanted to debunk this misconception we can have about women's imagery, like perfect body, perfect look, perfect vocabulary, and we are way more than that. And it's also super interesting when we see scars on our body and when we have, curves, when we express, when we scream, anything that like makes us who we are and what we go through inside and outside. So I think I would say a strong woman is someone who embraces herself and just celebrates with other women. And yeah.
Getting back a little to the technical part of filmmaking, you said you started in, was it 2022 or 23?
The shooting of the documentary, February 2023. Yeah.
And how much, I'm just curious as a producer myself, how much footage did you get? How did you start shaping it? And did you go back and have to get any more pieces for the story?
So we didn't go back, but the shooting of a documentary was supposed to stop right after the marathon. We had just one day with Anaïs for interviews, but I think I couldn't stop. I just wanted to go back again and to see them. And the very last frames you see about Anaïs with La Meute, the pack, it was way after. I just wanted to see them again and say goodbye and then go to post production. But the short documentary, the shooting went from February to the very beginning of April. We went for 4 days in Réunion Island, and then it was maybe 6 or 7 days of shooting in Paris, and that's it. So it was quite intense and short. Yeah.
Did you edit this yourself?
Yes.
She
Oh,
did.
wow.
Yes.
That's very difficult.
I didn't see
Actually,
her for a month. Like
yeah.
she was into it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was because it was the first one, but I had trouble to let go. I think I cared about this story so much, and I had maybe my idea of shaping it with chapters and also the frames I had in mind about Anaïs, her skin, the nature, the sound. Also, we did like a 2 weeks of residency with Alfonso Peduto, the pianist who composed the whole score for the movie. So it was intense, but it
Worth it.
was worth it.
Oh, and how
This
did
is
you know when it was done and ready to be, released?
I think this is another thing. We are never done. We just let it go because we have to. Um, this is also a discussion I had with Shanice. I was really looking forward to see her and have her opinion and to know like what do you think? What should we do? Should we change something? And quite quickly, I think we decided that next step was to show it to Anaïs.
Exactly. Yeah. Like in the end, we only have one version. That's the version you see is the first version. We had tried with another editor, and it was amazing, but the way he depicted the story was not what she had in mind, and it was too far from what she wanted, so she took it. And then yeah, you worked on it a month. That was hard for me. And
Yeah,
then yeah, you show that to us, to Anais as well, to some friends here,
yeah.
and that's actually the final version.
That's incredible. And Anaïs, what was your first reaction when you saw it for the first time?
Quelle était ta première réaction quand tu as vu le film pour la première fois?
Lorsque j'ai vu le film pour la première fois, j'étais très émue. Je me rappelle qu'on l'a vu ensemble et que j'ai tout de suite versé quelques larmes. Je l'ai trouvé très vrai, très proche de la réalité et ça pouvait pas être plus beau.
She said so we were the three of us when she saw the short documentary, and she quite quickly started crying because she felt she could relate to the woman she was seeing, which was herself, and she felt that it was true to who she is, and so she was quite happy.
I wonder if we have some time for questions. Do we? Does anyone have a question? If not, I'll just keep asking more questions.
I can ask a question. So, how did running help channel your desire to improve and get better?
To improve regarding running. Yeah.
Ouais, aller plus loin et de te sentir mieux.
Alors, mon rapport à la course, c'est que j'ai toujours fait de la course à pied comme on peut le voir dans le film et que c'était pour moi juste normal de continuer à courir pendant mes traitements et après, parce que c'était le moment où j'avais l'impression de réellement être vivante.
To never stop running is something Anaïs always loved, and so even when she was sick, and so like the comment tu dirais ça, le motif, le refrain, the way of thinking would be never stop running and always stay in movement and do it because I deeply love it. Thank you.
I have questions right back here. So, from a production standpoint, when it comes to doing documentaries, what's one of the biggest things that you actually came that was a pitfall in at the time of production that you wound up turning around and became one of the big highlight that was able to showcase this story?
That's a very good question. I think I would say two things. The first thing I would say that it's really hard to not have a budget, like a cool budget, because there is so many things you want to do, and you're here to serve a vision once again. So you have to find solutions, but it's also here that I found myself useful, because I do need to find solutions, and even if I don't have a budget, I do need that. So that would be the first one, and then I think it's funny, but the way um the way you love the people you work with can be sometimes tricky because you love them so much, but you like it's also work that you do. um it's also respect that we owe to Anais, and so sometimes it's tricky, but it's always the better way to go.
So I have not seen your film yet. I'm excited too. What was it like winning at Deauville? I have not been to that film festival, but I hear it is a spectacular film festival, and you won Best Documentary Short. So congratulations.
Thank you. I think that's that's when I discovered Anais, I thought this woman deserved to be seen. I think she can be um, people can be inspired by the woman she is, and I think it could be worth it to try festivals and to push this journey as far as possible. And we were already speaking about the US, and like there's no limits, but still when it's happening, even in France, like it's a dream come true, and we see more and more people being touched by the story, by the film, and bringing more and more people. And I think that's what we really feel grateful about, because we were not the only one feeling touched by this woman, and it's a real blessing to feel that we are getting bigger and bigger with all of you. And so, like Kobe would say, job's not finished.
It's a very beautiful feeling to win home when you're home. I think it's another one when you bring something back home. So hopefully we'll win here too. I'm very competitive, so.
Yeah, we met through sports, so yeah, but it's real joy, let's say, also because at first it was a lot about people in love with sports and being and seeing people also being in love with cinema, falling in love with an story. It's amazing because we can have a space when we can merge sports and cinema and bring it to this industry and say this is so important to bring women, to bring sports, and to celebrate all of that all together.
Any other questions?
You can go. We would love to discuss with you.
I mean, I'm just wondering, I mean, not to apply any more pressure. Obviously, you finished this film. Are you setting your sights on other stories? What is your process to identifying the next project, and when do you feel ready to do that?
Well, I love where we are at now, which is to celebrate Anais, but we also loved the journey we had with Shanice. We are friends on top of being colleagues, and we still we want to develop other projects. What we love is to give a space on screen to people we don't see often, like invisible people, um, which matters a lot. Like speaking another way about human condition and celebrate human beings. Maybe it will not be about sports. Maybe it will. We don't know yet. We are exploring different, sometimes we meet and we do a list of subjects that really touches us. But I think documentary and maybe fiction also. So we are exploring, I'd say, for now.
Yeah, we're exploring. We are also extremely lucky to have around us people who want to work with us. Um, MEDIAWAN, for example, who is sponsoring this panel. And that warms our hearts a lot. And I think being with Hélène, like a duo, is also a strength. That's always how I've been working in my life, and this is what I want to continue. And I definitely want to do millions of films with her DNA.
What's next for you, Anaïs?
C'est quoi la suite pour toi dans ces prochains? Peut-être tu peux dire.
Alors la suite de mon côté, ce sera dans un premier temps, j'ai un bébé en route pour 2025. Donc
She's pregnant.
ce sera pour
She's pregnant, so first of all, she'll take the time to embrace this period of time also.
She's pregnant for the ones who
We all understood. Congratulations. It's another kind of production.
Exactly. Anything else?
Et je dirais que bah, cette année, j'ai raté les qualifications olympiques pour le marathon donc à Paris et que je retenterai à Los Angeles en 2028.
And next goal would be Olympic Games in LA. So in 4 years, maybe you will see her again.
We'll welcome you back here. Are there any other questions from the audience? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of filmmakers here working or aspiring, and I'm sure they're curious how you all got your start in the industry, and how you got started directing, or were you doing other crafts before that?
So I fell in love with cinema when I was maybe 8 or something. And then I studied cinema at university. I did a master degree. So I learned a lot about history of cinema, theory of cinema. And at some point, I think I needed to understand more about the medium. And so I decided to start taking pictures, like still pictures, what for me a way to understand also movement, like um, what do you want to express, what it is to take a picture, what it is to make a film. And so that's how I got into photography first. And I met with an agency who happened to like my work, and then they asked me if I was willing to document athletes coming in Europe. And so very quickly I fell um, in the sports industry. I worked a lot with Nike and Jordan, and they asked me to follow Kevin Durant in 2015 and Kobe Bryant the next year. And so, thanks to that, I was able to go through what it is to embrace and capture movement and bodies. And at the time, it was already something, bodies and movements, that was really interesting in me. Um, and after after that. So I developed a career as a photographer, but still in my mind, I wanted to at some point go back to directing. Maybe I was a bit scared. And when this conversation happened with the Salomon Anaïs sponsor, I thought, you know what, maybe after 10 years as a photographer, I should just do it. And that's what we did. I talk about it about Shanice. I was also saying to her that, you know, sometimes being an artist, even a photographer, you have a kind of a relationship with loneliness. And so I was really used to do things by myself, even when I was dreaming about directing movies. And that's when Shanice was really helpful for me, because I think she saw me before I saw myself. And she said, because first she said, so how would you direct this movie? And I said, you know, like always, I'll do everything by myself and I'll find solutions. And she said, no, not this time. Like you will do it properly, like with a real structure. And then we just went, and that's how I went back to cinema.
That's beautiful. And it's great to have so many, women's filmmakers and on stage right now. And I think that's maybe a perfect place to wrap up. But this was such a beautiful film.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So much.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. We're going to grab a couple of pictures with the panelists, but we've got wine, tequila. There's some beers on ice back there. So please stick around and make yourself comfortable.